This is Brian from ScreenFiles.com. In 2015, Pan cost $150 million to produce and earned $128 million.
They got wasted.
In 2012, John Carter cost $250 million to produce and earned $121 million.
They blew it.
In 2008, Speed Racer cost $120 million to produce and earned just under $100 million back.
That is a lucid, intelligent, well thought out objection.
What do those three movies that I just named have in common? They're all financial failures, flops in other words. Movies that studios would traditionally not make a sequel to. What's my point? Simon Kinberg, the producer of the X-Men films, who also produced Fan4stic. I want to say Fantastic Four, but the way it's written on a poster, it's Fan4stic, is saying that there's still talk about a sequel to this movie. Now, keep in mind, there are a few problems with that idea. The first being, it's that on $120 million, it earned $168 million. Keep in mind, someone may say to themselves, oh, well, but it made more than it cost to produce. No, it didn't. In the sense that a movie, I tend to go by the 3 times rule in terms of determining the profitability of a movie. So in this case, Fan4stic would have to have made at least $360 million to be considered profitable. It did not. It was not even close. And some websites estimate that 20th Century Fox lost somewhere in the ballpark of $50 to $60 million on this movie. I would suggest that number is significantly higher, but in any case, $50 to $60 million. Now, under normal circumstances, this would not be considered for a sequel. That's not the way movie studios work. They're driven by profit. They want to make returns on their investment. So a movie that loses that much money would not be getting a sequel. It's the same case for the movies I just mentioned. You just don't do it. It makes no sense. Another thing that doesn't support Simon Kinberg's thesis, i.e. there's going to be a sequel to Fan4stic, that's so hard to get off the tongue, it's that it was also removed from 20th Century Fox's release calendar. Originally it was supposed to be released in June of this year. That is not happening. So, financial flop, removed from a release calendar. Now, keep in mind, there's no law that says Fox can't put this movie back on a release calendar at some point. It's certainly something you can do. But the problem with that is the prior reason. It's a flop. Why would you do it? It doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think perhaps the most convincing reason for why there will be no Fan4stic 2 is that the contracts with Marvel, that the studios that have contracts with Marvel Entertainment, because keep in mind, a lot of people are under the impression that these studios own those characters. They do not. They only license them from Marvel Entertainment. Marvel owns Spider-Man. Marvel owns the X-Men, and so on. The thing is, they don't own the movie rights to those characters. That's what the studios have. That's what they're licensed for, the movie rights. In some instances, television rights, like with that new series Legion, which is from Fox as well. And that's, Marvel gave them permission to do that. So, Fox does not own the X-Men. Fox does not own the Fantastic Four. Marvel does. And the thing is, in those contracts, there's a clause, and I haven't read the contracts. I would like to, but I haven't. But there seems to be a time clause that these movies have to go in production within a certain period of time, or the rights revert back to Marvel. Keep in mind, this happened with Daredevil. Originally, Fox was talking about producing a new movie, and Joe Carnahan was supposedly even going to direct. And they were running out of time. Well, I should say Joe Carnahan was going to direct, that was true, but he wasn't the first choice. I think it was David Slade, if I recall. He was going to direct Daredevil, another Daredevil movie for Fox. But he was busy on NBC's Hannibal, I think, at the time. So what happened is Marvel Entertainment gave Fox an option. Give us the rights to Silver Server, yes, a big silver computer. Give us the right to give us the right to use Galactus and the Silver Surfer, and we'll renew your lease on Daredevil. Fox decided not to go that route, and the rights reverted back to Marvel. So the amount of time Fox has to get another Fantastic Four movie or Fan4stic movie into production is limited. The only question is, how limited is it? Is it 1 year? Is it 3 years? I frankly don't know. But Fox cannot just sit on the property. They have to get a movie in production or they're going to lose the rights. So that's a problem for them. And there's another problem that Simon Kinberg doesn't seem to be taking into account. It's that the actors who played in Fan4stic aren't just sitting around waiting for a sequel to happen. They're working. And the issue with that is that schedules get filled up. You have to find time to fit these projects in. And if there's no sign of any sequel to this movie on the horizon, people are just going to move on with their lives. They're not going to sit there waiting for a call from Simon Kinberg or 20th Century Fox to make a sequel. When all is said and done, I don't 100% know if there's going to be a sequel to Fan4stic. I mean, I'm not involved in any way, shape, and form except from the outside looking in. So I can't definitively say. But what I can say is it makes absolutely no sense for there to be a sequel to Fan4stic. It's, as I mentioned earlier, it's not profitable. Actors aren't going to sit around waiting for it to happen. And the rights are on the hook for these characters. Fox needs to get something in production. I assume soon. Certainly no more than 2 or 3 years, if that, or they're going to lose the rights to those characters. Brian from ScreenFiles.com, as usual, let me know what you think.